Average global temperature has shifted by 1 degree. And if this shifts by another 1.5 degrees, humans can't. Are we ready to stop using mobile phones, cars, and just walk? No, we are not. So that's where circular economy came, where it says,
what is the entire thing behind this net zero?
plastic is bad until I started to understand the context. Safety certification that gets published by automotive majors, right? Now, what do you think is playing the most important role in getting that certificate? Sustainability means protecting the environment. But in the 17 SDG goals they have said, only 6 is for environment. Rest is all about.
So 50% of emission happens today via energy, and remaining 50% happens via consumer products, what we do use on a day-to-day basis. If we want to achieve net zero, we need to replace this 50%, and which is around $400 billion market in India. Today we have Mahadev from company called Mynusco, and he has spent 12 years in researching about this company, building and doing R&D for 5 years in that. Welcome Mahadev, how are you?
Welcome. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here, Rishav. Thanks for inviting me.
So since it's a very critical topic, and every time when we see that we speak around sustainability, net zero, climate, everything, how did you land up to this particular concept? I would not say concept, this problem. And you went so deep down today that you spent around 12 years, and in that 5 years you only did R&D. To solve this problem.
Correct.
What is the grassroots problem for this? How did you came to this problem, and how you're trying to solve this?
Yeah. See, I've been a Bangalore guy, born and brought up in a small colony, KGF, around Bangalore, right? And then I had an opportunity to work in US, Europe, Middle East for about 10, 12 years. When I came back to Bangalore in 2011, I saw a contrasting change in weather, right? I've always wanted to start up something which is a lot more meaningful, that's purpose-driven. And I explored opportunities in different areas. And climate change struck the right chord for me, right? There are many problems, and many entrepreneurs are working in solving those problems. Climate change, I felt, was one such problem. It cannot be solved by a single individual, and the problem is not going to just go away in 5 years, 3 years, 10 years timeline. It's going to be with us for next 50 years. And if we are successful, we'll be able to address it in 50 years, 70 years time. So that is the problem I picked in 2015 when I quit my career with Infosys and started. The initial approach was slightly different, right? Initial approach was to help automotives reducing their component weight with advanced materials and advanced engineering solutions. We were doing very well in that, but one gentleman from the automotive major suggested that everything that you're doing is right, but then you're using materials to solve this problem. That's not sustainable. So you should look for more natural materials. So that led me to travel around different exhibitions in the space of natural fiber composites, biocomposites, meet various people working in the space, and then it was just discovering various things that came along the way. Yeah.
Interesting. So, but like today, if you talk about the climate change, since you talked about that when you returned to India in 2011, na?
11, yeah.
So you saw a drastic climate change. But from 2011 to 2026, even today in Bangalore, in May month, the kind of heat we are witnessing, which is 40 degrees, I think.
Close to 38, 40 degrees, yeah.
It was not that, I think it was not touching that in 2011 also.
Yeah. I mean, when we were going, it was not even touching 30, right? We've always seen Bangalore to be in the 20s and pretty much moderate climate. But shift from being 20s to 30s was already a big change. Globally, they say, global average has changed by 1 degree in the last 100 years. Now, Bangalore, we are talking about 10 degrees,
correct,
right? That's the peak. Average global temperature has shifted by 1 degree. And if this shifts by another 1.5 degrees, humans can't exist.
Globally.
It's an existential crisis. Globally. If the global temperature increases by another 1.5 years, which means what we have done for last 100 years, the industrialization, it has taken a slow path of
Correct.
growth, right? But if we continue the same growth, it doesn't need another 100 years for us to reach the 1.5 degrees. It will be much sooner.
Correct.
And then we can't survive.
So in last 1 degree got increased in 100 years, right?
100 years.
And now this can happen in 50 years.
It will happen much sooner. With the amount of changes that's happening. Talk about just AI, the kind of servers and how much energy it is consuming, right?
Correct.
So there's going to be so much of, let's say, emission that will contribute to this shift, unless we change the status quo.
But still, I see lot many initiatives related to net zero achieving or net zero targeting. We have achieved net zero solution. All these keywords or all these words keep coming from the government lenses also, and we see lot many initiatives happening. But on a consumer like me as an individual, even if I am using more of a sustainable products, and still I see that change is not being reflecting me in the real world. When I came to Bangalore in 2022 and now I'm 2026, when I took an office, I said I need more plants. I need more of a sustainable products. Let's not use plastic.
Yeah.
So me as an individual in thinking on that lens, I cannot use everything which is sustainable. In some extent, where is possible. But why I'm not seeing into the reality, it's not being changed, and the temperature is getting worse and day by day.
So I should admit change is happening. Maybe it's not noticeable.
Okay.
Change is happening at the ground level, change is happening at the policy level. Ministry of Environment and Forest, MOEF, they've changed their name to MOEFCC, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That is the importance that the government is giving for climate change and having some actions put in place. Energy is one of the low-hanging fruits, and that's where a lot of focus is. If you look at India's transition from purely coal-based energy to renewable energy, it's one of the major achievements. Karnataka as a state is one of the biggest transformation where we've seen our energy dependency on coal is less than 50% now, which used to be much more. Okay. So there is transition happening, there is recognition, there are policies formed, but the low-hanging fruit is now energy. The second one, of course, was automotive. So you're seeing policies driving the adoption of electric vehicles. There is a lot of R&D happening on hydrogen vehicles and stuff like that, right? So there is work happening. But the most difficult piece, the most orphaned piece is the materials, because it's nobody's problem, all right? If you want to change from coal energy to renewable energy, you have to put a solar plant, have the contract, fine. If you want to switch from IC engines to electric engines, vehicles based not engine, electric vehicles, there is enough innovation, enough development that's happened that can be done. But in materials, the transition or the change is not going to be done by one individual, because somebody produces the material, somebody converts it into finished product, someone else finally consumes that. The entire value chain, right? Until the entire value sees the need to change, this change will not happen.
So currently we are witnessing the end one getting changed.
Yes.
Like for example, motor vehicle got changed into electric vehicle.
Correct, yeah.
Like normal, like diesel or the petrol, yes. That is there. But still, like in order to manufacture the EV vehicles, all the materials coming into the picture, they might be sustainable, might not be sustainable.
Absolutely.
They're using plastic in terms of some of the cases actually.
Any material, whether it is plastic, whether it is steel, they're all carbon intensive materials, right? It's not just about the material and then their conversion energy, right? So that results in the total net carbon emission. So what gets delivered, pretty much any product that we consume for our day-to-day activity, let's say even including our homes, our furnitures, etc., consume certain material, and the material gets converted into finished products. There is energy and carbon emission across the value chain.
So what type of products, when you come to your company, which you guys, you are building Mynusco, and obviously there are some material products which you're mostly focusing on materials actually, rather than the finished products. What type of materials are more sustainable in terms of like how we can utilize waste or like left out products from the finished product and utilize them to make some good raw materials in order to manufacture some products?
See, from a material standpoint, there are two harms that we are doing, right, from a sustainability. One is we're extracting resources from the planet.
Correct.
That is, we are causing harm. It could be, let's say, fossil resources, petroleum resources. It could be trees and plants, woody resources, right? It could be mined resources. The more we extract resources, we are creating an imbalance. Okay, that's one. Second, it's about carbon emission into the atmosphere. That creates an ozone layer that heats up the atmosphere. So if we have to find a material that is sustainable, it has to reverse these two. Okay, which means a material that is not made from planetary resources, ideally, which is renewable, which was already a waste. Let's say, for example, we grow rice, right? Each acre of, let's say, rice harvest will result in about 1.5 tons of rice grains. Okay. But it also results in 3.5 tons of waste, agricultural waste.
It's like 2 times.
Yeah, it's 2 times. Sometimes it could be 3 times as well. Okay. And if we can use these resources, which were anyway not meant, right, if we don't use them, either it will be burnt or it will go back into the Earth's crust, and then finally when it degrades, it results again carbon back into the atmosphere. These are biogenic carbon, basically. So if we can use these resources, renewable resources or recycled resources, something that is already used to make some other product, but we can again recycle back into another different product, instead of extracting new planetary resources, a material will be considered sustainable.
Got it. But as of today, I obviously out of curiosity, like I'm very curious on this particular topic. Like in this particular scenario, as of today, like not every other waste material of rice, like which is for example 3 tons what we are getting in acre part. What people are doing as of now? Are they burning it? Are they leaving it to degrade themselves? Or say suppose only small portion might be getting consumed in terms of to build some other products?
Yeah. So see, India alone produces more than 500 million tons of agricultural waste. Okay. About 1/3 gets burnt, which is what we should
again
try to avoid.
It's problem creating in the emission part.
Absolutely, especially when it gets burnt in a open farm. It not only releases carbon emission, it also could release in methane, which is even more harmful than carbon. Okay. About 1/3 gets used in different forms like biogas.
Okay.
Right. They're talking about bioethanol. Right, they're using bioethanol in the ethanol up to 20%, I believe, in India. So that comes from renewable source. That can be agricultural waste. The other 1/3 normally gets discarded, pretty much open. So in terms of solutions out there, there are various carbon projects that are there to convert this agricultural waste into biochar, which pretty much locks carbon permanently. That's one solution that is being adopted at scale, basically. What we are trying to do is that before it becomes a char, can it also be a better utility, right? We consume those agricultural waste and convert them into useful products so that the carbon, the energy can be locked in for as long as the products are used and then subsequently recycled.
Super interesting. Apart from, like, say, suppose this particular example, what is a major major area where we see more of a like discarded material? Like for example, you told about the rice. When we do that, we get a lot of discarded material from there. Any other particular crop or any other thing where we get a lot of many discarded material which can be used to manufacture or make some other products?
If you look at coconut, coir is a waste actually. In the coir as well, there are, if you distinguish coir, there is the hard coir which gets used in making the ropes, mats and stuff. Then there is coir powder that gets used in making the, let's say, the coir pith and stuff. There is also about 15-20% of coir that neither gets used here or there, that can be consumed, for example. Every other harvest need not be rice husk, could be wheat, could be the millets. All of them result in carbon emission. All of them result in crop waste. Even the forest, right, during summer, they shred dry biomass, okay? And if they're not handled well enough, they could result in wildfire, right?
Which
So if you
happened?
look at the Himachal wildfire, usually it is triggered because of the pine needles that are getting dried there, and then there's a small spark that can actually trigger into wildfire. So if we can somehow carefully collect these agricultural waste or forest waste, which is and then put to use elsewhere, I think we'll be doing two things. One is preventing wildfire or reducing the risk of wildfire,
Correct.
but then we can also be locking all the carbon that's sequestered in that waste into something that's functional.
But is it possible to do that in forest?
We've had some projects where pine needles were being sent from the Himachal Pradesh. Again, not at a scale that it needs to be, but from a commercialization standpoint, yes, of course, these are doable. In a lot of all these projects, demand is the most important thing. As long as there is demand, there is enough
People will do
resources
it.
available. Yeah.
So, like we need to again, it's a problem where people are not demanding this as of now. Then
Many of them are not even aware that such a
Correct.
thing is possible actually. So first thing comes around creating awareness. A lot of awareness around sustainability in common men like you and me, and for me as well, right? When I started this journey, I had an understanding of what sustainability means. I think I've done like 10 times reverse circle to kind of where I am today. So many of my beliefs of what sustainability was has completely changed to where it is today. Okay, so much of unlearning that has had happened. So awareness is a big problem. A lot of them read on the media and build an awareness of what sustainability is. For some, for example, they would believe plastic is not sustainable. What do you think? Plastic is sustainable?
no.
No. I would always say sustainability cannot be answered in isolation. It has to be in the context only.
Okay.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Plastic, everybody thinks it's not sustainable.
Correct.
Right? During COVID, what was used to transport the important vaccines to the remotest part of the village?
I think that some box was there inside that used to keep that.
And then the containers.
It's a plastic.
Why?
Cheap, I think, due to cheap
Cheap, fast to make, easy to handle,
and
it
easy
has
to
the
procure or everything.
best, what do you say, inertness that it would not interfere with the vaccine inside.
Correct.
No, okay. Everybody thinks plastic or body mein chala jayega. If it had to go through that vaccine also, right? Right. And if you go to hospital today, and my dad is in the hospital, I told you, right? Yesterday only my wife picked up the bill and he said, 1/3 of the bill is disposables. Everything is plastic, gloves, plastic tubes, syringes, everything is plastic basically. So healthcare has adopted so much plastic. Okay. That doesn't mean plastic is bad. In the context, it's doing much better. Healthcare has become more affordable. Okay. Lot more sanitized because of plastic. All right. So in the context, in that specific context, especially if the right plastic is used, it's a good material. It's just that we have to handle them.
Yeah, so that's when actually people used to say 40 micron plastic or 30 micron, 20 micron plastic that used to come into the picture. So that's where good plastic and bad plastic is being.
No, that is purely from a recyclability standpoint.
Okay.
Okay, I'll come to that in a little. So why the 30, 40, 50 microns came to picture is, what you see in landfill today as a plastic. Do you see automotive parts in landfill?
No, we don't see.
You don't see. Do you see, let's say, your furnitures in landfill? You don't see.
We see that plastic carry bags.
Why?
Because that is not being biodegraded, I think. That's not degraded.
No. It is easier to recycle automotive parts, furnitures. Let's say, for example, your plates, bowls, if this mug is made of plastic, this mug, if it weighs about 250 grams, let's say a person who is a garbage picker person, he will have to like collect 4 of this and he will get 15-20 rupees.
Correct.
Okay. If he has to collect 1 kg of the carry bags, he'll have to bend like at least 200-300 times. He doesn't want to do that. There is no incentive him going and collecting those carry bags which are 15 microns, 20 microns.
That's the reason
That is
actually
why.
these rag pickers pick that Bisleri bottles, but not that normal carry bags.
Yeah, Bisleri has highest recyclable value, actually, recyclability value.
Correct.
It's easier to clean.
Easy to
Bisleri
clean.
only water contamination. When you do carry bag, you have no idea what and all is there inside the carry bag, right? And it's very hard to recycle them. from collection to washing, segregation to the value that gets unlocked, there is no economic value in doing that.
Got it.
That's why government came up with the process that we have to, in order to increase the recycling efficiency, we have to make it thicker so that it becomes economically viable. But plastics, while most people think that plastics are made from fossil, there is a good transition that is happening, that the plastics can also be made with renewable content. Could be starch, could be wood, could be even rice husk, bamboo, etc. Those are the directions that will make plastics more sustainable.
But with plastic, actually, the alternative people moved. Like when we order food, we go to restaurants, we order plates. So we see two more alternatives. And I think that it is more harmful. Like I see paper and then I see wood. People are using wooden fork, wooden spoon, wooden plates, and in case of paper straws, paper cups, all those things to replace the plastic actually. But I also think that from my assumption is like it is more creating
Why
more
do you
problem.
say that?
Because they might cut down the trees and all those things in order to produce all those papers.
I think very few people think like you, Rishav.
Correct.
Congratulations on that. Okay. What I was here to say, you already said it.
So people will cut down the tree to make that.
Yeah.
So eventually they are causing harm to the environment itself.
Correct.
So is it a better alternative or is it like an okay alternative? Just for recyclable purpose are they using it, or why it is being used?
So there are 2-3 things that I'd like to clarify here. When people relate to wood, they think it's sustainable because it's closer to environment. This is where we define certain concepts of material sustainability. If you use wood for, let's say, making furnitures, build bridges, house, that lasts for 20, 30 years, that's good. Okay, because the planet needs 10, 20, 30 years to regrow that tree.
Correct.
Okay, you cut a tree, then you should use that wood at least such time that you let the
Other tree
resource gets replaced. So it's okay to build bridges, houses and stuff like that with wood, all right? But if you make spoons, cutleries, you grow trees for 20 years and then you use it for 2 minutes, you will be exploiting the resources much faster than they can replenish, right? So it's not, from a sustainability standpoint, it is not. Another fact that you will not know is that most of the wooden cutleries that you use in India are either imported, okay, or the wood that gets used in making them are imported.
Correct. It is not 100% wood also. So I have collected, like I have ordered, say suppose 100 times via different platforms, food delivery platforms, and every time when I get a food, I get that packet in which we have tissue paper and also that spoon and fork. All are from wood. Okay, I have just collected 10 different types, and all 10 are different in material when I break it.
Okay. Yeah, they have different woods, bamboo, birch
Correct.
wood, and there are different types of woods. And again, where it comes from. Some come from China. The wood sometimes come from Eastern European countries. So it depends what's the source basically. But your point is very right. What we say from a material circularity is that if you're extracting a resource from a planet, from our planet, then you should at least use it as long as the planet can replenish itself.
Then it will be considered a circular economy.
It's considered circular basically, okay? Or use waste, which anyway is produced and abundantly available, so that you can circulate that as well. Another problem with these cutleries is that the material efficiency side of things. Let's say if you take 1 kg of wood, finally maybe 500-600 grams comes as spoons. Rest goes as waste.
Correct. And what we are doing with that waste, we don't know.
At least what we do is we collect some of the waste.
Okay.
Some of our suppliers, partners who deliver this wood waste are those who are manufacturing those cutlery. So we at least have an arrangement to collect that waste and convert it into our materials.
So then what is the proper definition of circular economy, which is a clear definition? Because people consider that as a normal consumer in market, that if you are cutting down tree using paper is being recycled, they're using something else. Is that one, or the one which we say that something we are cutting down, we're making, say suppose houses, again alternative and being rotated for a longer time? What would be a perfect definition of circular economy? Because people say circular economy very easily, but they don't understand the proper meaning of circular economy at times.
Okay. See, there are 3 principles of circular economy, but I'll also give you in the context of how circular economy as a concept came, right? The three principles of circular economy: one is avoid waste. Avoid waste at any cost. Okay? Reduce is a great thing, but if you can avoid, completely fantastic. Make products and materials circulate. Okay? Don't extract continuously. And then the third principle is regenerate, means you grow more plants, grow trees and stuff. If you do, in my belief, if you do these two, which is completely preventing waste and circulating the materials and products, you don't have to regenerate, because the planet knows to regenerate. If you come to our office, we have plenty of empty sites. You start parking your cars there, then plants stop growing.
Correct.
You leave it empty, then the plants will grow. So the planet knows how to recover its resources, strength, and it will come back. We don't have to protect it. It knows how to do. And then there is this moment where the environmental activists and the people who care for environment, they said this is all because of industrialization. This is all because of economic activity. Stop buying, stop consuming, stop, reduce. You can live with 2 pairs of dress, 1 pair of shoes. Don't buy more than that. Okay? Now, that has a very negative economic impact. In a developed world like Europe and US, where they collect 70-80% tax and the government has sufficient money to take care of their welfare and stuff, okay, 10% reduced, it is okay. In a country like India, right, only 6% tax get collected, and that has to be used for the
90 for others.
And then here also, if we stop consuming and having that economic activity, how are we going to match up? If you stop consuming, it's going to definitely affect somebody at the tail end who is making a living producing that.
Correct.
And usually that somebody tail end is in an emerging market, not in the developed market. So people who are in mostly developed markets conceptualize this: we have to reduce consumption to protect the environment. But that's counterintuitive. That's going to stop innovation. That's going to stop development. That's going to stop human civilization in terms of evolving. We have to go back. Are we ready to go back?
No.
Are we ready to stop using mobile phones, cars, and just walk? No, we are not, right? So that's where circular economy came, where it says you continue your economic activity. The only problem with economic activity is you're extracting more and more resources. Please reduce that. Circulate resources, but supporting economic activity.
So, interesting thing about circular economy. But what is net zero? Like when we say we need to achieve net zero, how do we achieve this actually in a process way? Like, for example, people say that we are using EV vehicle and we are achieving net zero. We are saving carbon credits, and they say that we can utilize this carbon credits into something else. And obviously in India, carbon credits you cannot trade or sell. It's happened mostly in European countries, which I studied. I studied this in 2-3 years before. Entire concept of carbon credits and how to sell and all those things. So what is the entire thing behind this net zero?
I think you and I, we've grown learning that plants absorb carbon dioxide from atmosphere.
Correct.
And every activity, including us breathing, results carbon back into atmosphere, right? Net zero means all human activity put together, the net carbon emitted should be equal or less than the carbon that gets sequestered by plants.
Got it.
If you cut trees, then you are reducing the ability for plants to absorb carbon that we are releasing. Not just by our breathing, but every activity, industrial activity, transportation, manufacturing, etc. everything. So first, stop reducing. Stop cutting the trees. Okay, increase the forest share on our planet, basically. Even if we do I think India's forest cover is about 30% or so. Maybe I might be wrong, but let's say assume it is 30%. It will be around that number. If they increase it by 3% or 10%, that's from 30 to 33%. It's a huge impact in terms of carbon sequestration.
But that is being reduced. Obviously, that is being reduced.
It's being reduced, but that's where MOEFCC is coming into play. That they're going to measure constantly to increase the forest cover, basically now. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing is the activities that we do in terms of travel, in terms of manufacturing. Instead of using fossil fuel, instead of using coal fuel that results in carbon emission, can we use more renewable content, basically, right? So that's about carbon neutrality. The net carbon emission from all human activities put together should be equal or lower than the carbon that is sequestered by plants. In some cases, even aquatic creatures and living beings under the sea also sequester carbon there. So anything natural that sequesters carbon should negate the carbon that is emitted by human activity. So increase in population will result in carbon emission.
Carbon emission.
Okay.
So, like when we say that we have saved this much of carbon emission, we have this much of carbon credits, how one can, as an individual, as a company, when we say that so many larger industries and company have emitted this much less of carbon and they have this much carbon credits in this particular years, how they can utilize it for themselves?
See, not every industry can have carbon negative. Let's say, for example, your airline industry, they need fuel, right? They can't grow plants in the air, okay? So in order to negate their carbon emission, they will need to buy carbon credits to offset them. So they could sponsor a reforestation project somewhere else, or they could buy carbon credit from a company that has accumulated so much carbon that they can trade. So that's why these carbon credits have come to support some activities which they themselves cannot negate completely. Okay, and it's a growing market. I'll be very be honest. I'm also not very close and very familiar with this, but it is to incentivize everybody who is looking at reducing carbon emission and creating a monetary value for that, right? So that's about carbon credit.
Interesting. We'll go more deep in towards like when you left your company Infosys, like the first company where you're working, I think first or second company. The moment when you started your own company and the initial 5 years you went into R&D, what was the most interesting find you did in that particular process when you're doing research? What was the most interesting thing you found or research that you observed during this period?
One of the most important things is that I always thought anything that is biodegradable is sustainable. Right? I mean, it goes back to soil sustainable.
Like I think that the spoon is there, it will go to the soil, it is sustainable.
That is where and it took a long time to understand that we have to separate natural activities from human activities, not mix it. So if you take a product and use it and then throw it back to soil, that's a human activity getting mixed with soil basically, right? Plants grow, they shred leaves, going back to soil is okay, that's natural, right? That biodegrading is fine. But if you, let's say, create carry bags made out of petroleum resources or renewable resources, and then use it and you throw them after emitting so much carbon into the atmosphere, that's not considered sustainable actually, okay? So, and the soil and the resource, we always are made to believe it goes back to the soil. It need not be, okay? And so that's one of the biggest discoveries, I would say. Another discovery is that I also thought plastic is bad. Okay, until I started to understand the context side of the materials, that if it is put to use in a rightful way, right, then it's fantastic. Simple things like this. When I was back in my childhood days, if I go to village, the only place we used to sit was on those concrete blocks, cements on the floor and stuff.
Correct.
Okay, imagine old age people. And I am an arthritic person myself. I cannot really sit everywhere.
Correct.
Okay, so it has to be proper. So that's when plastic chairs came. Your seating comfort has grown and become so much better now because of plastic. Okay, there are two problems with plastic: how they are made and what happens after use. If we can correct those two, then plastic is wonderful material.
You're the first one saying me that plastic is a wonderful material.
There are, again, disclaimers that how it is made, what is made out of it, and what happens to it afterwards. If you make very precious item, if you make durable, good quality products that people want to own, not throw away like the carry bags and stuff like that, then you're increasing the life of the product. And by making those products durable, their recyclability increases. It becomes easier. There is economic value associated. So you're discouraging the one-way use, the linear, make it, use it, and throw it kind of thing. And I already mentioned earlier that the plastics currently made of fossils, if it can be made from renewable content, if it can be made from waste, and there are various research, various developments happening where people are making plastic out of seaweed, plastic out of corn, plastic out of wood, right? This is changing how plastics are made. Plastic is a wonderful material. You won't have mobile phone without plastic. Your transport will not be safer without plastic. Now, many people think that when there is a safety certification that gets published by automotive majors, right? That this is 5-star rating, 4-star rating. Now, what do you think is playing the most important role in getting that certificate? It's plastic. Because I work with automotive solutions, I can tell you how important plastic plays in ensuring the safety of the passengers. Without plastics, none of those 5 stars will be possible.
Got it.
Okay, so they play a very pivotal role, whether it is food security. Food security, when I say food gets grown somewhere and it has to reach different places where food probably cannot be grown. Any other material that can protect that, it is plastic.
Plastic only, yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, it improves food security, reduces food wastage.
We cannot transfer that in glasses boxes.
My farmer actually, he would always use crates to transport vegetables.
Correct.
Because they are stackable, nice, and they can reuse it. And
plastic
stuff
carrots,
Earlier they were using wooden crates, and before they were putting it in gunny bags.
Gunny bags.
And those gunny bags, by the time they transport from one location to another location, so much damage will happen actually. So it has a pivotal role to play. It's just that we don't have to change the material innovation that we have done. We just have to change how it is made, what is made out of it, and ensure it doesn't become a waste. And even in that space, there is so much development happening. A lot of investment happening in recycling of plastic. You said PET bottle recycling. One of the fastest adoption is India in terms of recycling PET bottles. I think it's upwards of 70% or so, right? And they're now working on recycling other materials as well. What used to be earlier mechanical recycling is now turning into more sophisticated chemical recycling. So this development will happen. And the reason I say this is bound to happen is paper recycling, we are all familiar, right?
Yes, paper.
Steel recycling, we are familiar.
Correct.
Glass recycling is familiar. How long has steel been put to use? How long glass has been put to use? How long paper has been put to use? Several hundred years.
Yes. True.
So it has taken so much time to increase the efficiency of recycling. Plastic has been around, actually put to use in commercial like last 30 years. Nobody saw the need to recycle it. Now, given the opportunity, given the situation, there's a lot of innovation happening, and the efficiency of plastic recycle will also improve significantly. We just have to give that opportunity, recognize the opportunity, and pay way for it actually.
True. But in a normal industrial level, like when it comes to plastic recyclation, obviously this has been adopted more as compared to what we were recycling other products. More and more companies are adopting the plastic recycling options, correct? So like I see the rag pickers always give more amount to plastic materials as compared to glass materials actually. This I have been recalling when my grandmother keeps all this waste like used bottles and all left outs in one place, and when the segregation comes, they said, I will give 20 rupees kg for the plastic and 5 rupees for this glass.
Okay. I don't know the economic side of this, but
in my hometown, it's my hometown actually, just a random number actually. But obviously it's always costlier in terms of rag pickers, because I think people demand for recycling plastic is increasing a lot.
Yes. There is a demand, and there is also policies that are driving this demand. Earlier, it used to be about 25% that needed to be used in packaging. Now they've increased it to 50%. I think this will continue to grow. So there are policy triggers that are driving this change, and many of these sustainability adoption would not be possible without policy interventions.
What is the worst material actually, if I consider today? What is the worst material?
Context is very important. Without context, there is no worst or good material.
Like for example, let's suppose in our daily consumable only, like if I consume packaged materials, like people used to send us, e-commerce companies also used to give us in plastic before. Now it is a paper bag with say, for example, just one change which happened, the change from plastic spoons to this happened. Like in today's world, what is the worst material being used which is non-biodegradable? It takes a lot of time to degrade or recycle. People are ignoring it. It is causing a lot of waste, lot of pollution, anything.
Whoa, I, I, I think I don't have a ready answer for that. Let me be very honest. But again, I say it has to be more context specific. If you are referring to these food delivery and stuff like that, I would say there is no single material which is good.
Okay.
The reason there is, it's not the material changed. We need a behavioral change. Any material that encourages waste is again a problematic thing. Okay. Here we're not talking about just the material of the container, because that will encourage the waste of food also, basically, right? So there are business models evolving around ensuring and reducing this single-use products in principle, not just single-use plastic, right? I think that's a direction that we need to move into, but that's a lot of work to get there. It's a lot of work. Converting a product-based business model to a more service-based business model. And that's a huge transition. It will take time.
Interesting. Lot of things I understood about different materials, but it would be great like if you tell me that what actually Mynusco does, like what do you guys actually do, that I didn't ask itself.
How many other times you ask this question, I feel so unprepared for this actually. So Mynusco stands for minus carbon emission. So everything that we do underpins this one particular principle, that it has to have reduced carbon emission compared to whatever we are displacing. All right. At the core, we source agricultural waste that comes from farmers, FPOs, and in some cases factories. We blend them with binders. Binders could be bio-based plastic, recycled plastic, convert them into a material called biocomposites. And those biocomposites can then be molded into different products. And products such as your day-to-day products for tableware, planters, furnitures, automotive components, material handling components, and so on and so forth.
Interesting. But what is the main goal behind this? Like you might want to achieve something, na? For example, replacing something or making people use better products or replace products. What's your main intention behind doing this?
See, the main intention behind this is very clear: helping achieve the net zero goal, right? And people today, at least consumers, are looking for sustainable alternatives to whatever they're purchasing, providing them a compelling choice that is not a compromised product, that is not a premium, like a celebrity premium sustainability products, an affordable product that is sustainable, that's good for them and the planet. But fundamentally, if you look at it, right, what we are trying to drive is create an ecosystem. The change that is needed for materials, decarbonizing the materials, cannot be done. It's not an individual's job. It is not a single company's job. We just need to change the mindset of people. So we are creating an ecosystem, a platform where companies who believe in sustainability can partner with us in taking these materials into finished products. So that's how we're working on.
And you guys much focus on the finished products. Like say suppose I want to have a different type material cup. You guys focus on building this, manufacturing this, or like you focus on building the materials?
Material is the foundation. So we manufacture the materials in our...
And how what type of materials?
These are biocomposite materials, right? And we have more than 1,000 types of material, while they all look same, but every different application requires slightly different characteristics. What goes in an automotive interiors will be different to what gets used for making a planter or a plates or a mug, so on and so forth. So these materials are a combination of agricultural waste with binders, and that's what gets mixed in our Mysore facility. Converting into finished products, we work with various molding partners around India. They would take our material, convert them into finished products.
Interesting. And like down the line, actually, when we want to keep doing this, like obviously the amount of consumer products which we consume on a day-to-day basis cannot be solved by one company, I believe.
No.
how to solve this in a much larger scale. Like for example, if I want to have better products, I will not say it's replacing everything. It's just how to bring more of an impact in a lesser time as compared to how slowly it is going as of now. How?
I think it's going to come primarily from demand because solutions exist today,
Okay.
right? It's about demand. It's about creating awareness. It's about bringing those policy interventions, right? Today, a lot of policy interventions are about shifting energy from coal to renewable. It's about recycling plastic and stuff. If the policies can be introduced about using renewable content in finished products and incentivizing, right, the companies who are making and also the consumers, I think there will be increased demand. So demand is the primary factor, and demand comes from people's awareness of looking for such products, and that's what we're working on.
Interesting. What is this one last thing if you want to say to the citizens of India in terms of sustainability, like anything which is more of a like for responsibility of any particular citizen staying in India? What is a better way? Like obviously generating more of a waste, actually reducing the waste itself is a one best thing. But apart from that,
Um, they can make good choice when they are well informed. Okay, information today is actually misrepresented in many media forms, whether it is reels by influencers, whether it is publications by some of the media. Not that they want to mislead, okay, I don't think most of them are doing to cause harm, right? It's usually the lack of depth by people who are publishing these reels or posts and stuff, and when they speak out of context, it builds a very different perspective. My only request is, like how you treat your math as an important subject, physics as an important subject, cooking as an important subject, please spend some time learning about sustainability, the core importance and the principles of circularity, sustainability. And there are 2 3 places that I always go for answers. One is UN sustainability goals.
okay.
UN SDG 17 goals have been defined very nicely, and this is ultimate Bible, or let's say Bhagavad Gita or Quran of sustainability.
Okay.
Okay, and you will find a lot of answers there. For most people, sustainability means protecting the environment. But in the 17 SDG goals, they have said only 6 is for environment.
The rest 11 are not there.
Rest is all about
Society.
people around you. The sustainability is not just about protecting. There's beyond that. Spend some time understanding these concepts. Then you will make your own choices, right? And there are many companies, many entrepreneurs working the right direction in building these solutions. But if the consumers are not making the right informed decision, I think it can lead to not the desired outcomes. So that's what I would probably say.
This, thank you so much. It was nice speaking with you, and hope that people will become more informed.
Correct.
I will not say more careful because people are careful. They are not informed.
They do care for themselves. They do care for their loved ones. But with misinformation, I think the outcomes may not be as desirable.
True. With this, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast, and I hope users will not the users, I would say citizens of India will be more careful in terms of what we use.
I hope, and I only have positive outlook for India and the world, and it's all going in the right direction. So I thank everybody who's listening, everybody who's contributing in their own little ways in making this change, right? And it means a lot. It really means a lot. Especially when the demand comes from grassroots level end consumers, it can become really fast. The change can happen really fast.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.